All right, everybody, thank you for coming. I know it's tough on the Friday during the summer, and I know everybody's busy. Every few months, I like to take a couple agents from the office and do a panel like that. One thing I love is that, we do have a culture of sharing. So Rich and Jane, first and foremost, I just want to say thank you for taking time to do this. I really appreciate it. I'm sure everybody here really appreciates it. As both of you were last year Circle of Excellence Platinum Award winners, which is not an easy feat to do. That's at least $20 million in volume, so that's a great job. Congrats. I know both of you are two of the hardest working agents I know. So again, appreciate you taking it, and we're just gonna start real quick. Jane, we're gonna start with you. What prompted you to get into real estate? What did you do prior?
That was very simple, and I was in running the family business before that. I always have a passion for real estate, and it's just, I always look at houses. I'm an investor. I had a couple of rental property that time. To be honest, I wasn't very happy with the service I received, and also when I sell my house, and I was very not happy with the service either. So obviously, that time, but when I sell my home, the one, I know some of the excellent agent as well, so I could learn from. So that time I decided to follow my heart, do something I enjoy.
And Jane, what would the seasoned agent now tell Jane, the brand new agent?
I would say relax. Don't get it too much emotional. When I was a first year, second year, I feel I was swim against the current. Everyday struggle. I used to get sick all the time. I used to really have to, high fever, coughing, as because you put too much strength on yourself. And sometimes, I know we're fighting for our clients. I know it's not fair. I know. Either, but you have to remove yourself. You have to have a faith. What meant to be, what meant to be. It's easy to say, hard to do. When I was first year and second year, it's really, really tough. I wasn't as fortunate as now in this company. There's so much support from the owner, from the agent. When that time, there was no support anywhere. So at that time, I felt alone and frustrated, didn't have the direction, and just plodding along on my own, and that was hard. So sometimes when things doesn't work out, it's really heartbroken. You just don't know how to handle it. My mom used to say, my mom just happened to visit me from Australia. She said, honey, we call ourselves Catholic. If you truly believe in God, if God meant to be happening, that will happen. If not happen, then not meant to be. And it's work out. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. If you're fighting for the client, and the people still underneath you or did something to your client, and don't feel bad you didn't protect them. Maybe God had better plan for them. At that time, I said to my mom, oh yeah, I didn't want to say anything to her because in Chinese you can't talk back, but I feel, yeah, right, you didn't go through what I went through. You didn't show my house. You didn't know what I did. But after second year, I really ran out my strength. I really ran out. I was tired. I was tired emotionally and physically. I just have nothing to fight anymore. It's like the third year I said to myself, you know what, this job is not for me. And maybe I should look for other, career down the track. But at that time, my business take a turn doing very well. Why? Because this is not Sunday church mass, by the way, but it sounds like it. But it's really true. It's true, when you start to try to fight and make it happen, you can't make a flower bloom. You can't. You have to let it go with itself. So that's, you can't stop the rain, you can't stop the snow. You have to deal with it. So a lot of time that would I give younger me, don't be stressed out. It's work, it's God's will. If it doesn't work, God had better plan. That's what I would say.
Like your personal life?
At that time, it does. At that time, really, I was 40 pounds heavier, everybody knows. And I just put on so much weight. I was always people told Carl, be careful when I come. I have a very bad temper. You gotta watch out. Until today, Carl's still waiting for that day, and so far, 5 years down the track, haven't seen that side. I think it's like when you're stressed out, you just stress out. You lash out to anybody.
Drink wine at night.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's
Take your whiskey.
exactly. But
Well, and I always like to say to new agents is, especially when you're starting your career and you're building it, don't compare your page 1 or page 2 to somebody's page 100.
exactly. Yeah. Mhm.
So that's great.
Yeah.
Rich, how about you? How'd you get into
Well,
real estate? What'd you do before?
To go off that note, don't compare yourself to somebody's page 100. That's exactly when my business tilted over, was when I stopped comparing myself to everybody else. Because that's what I would literally do every day. I created these list of people, and I was like, I want to be just like them. And they're all $20+ million producers. But then when I realized that every single day that I was doing that, I was actually taking myself farther and farther away from the goal. Because like you said, I can't be them. I'll never be them. And at the end of the day, you have to do what works for you. So I'll go back to the first question. What prompted me to go into real estate? After college, I was working in corporate America, about 3-4 years, something like that. Didn't like it. Decided to take a step back. And one day I was walking out, and like she said, she saw somebody else selling a house. So my neighbor was actually selling their house, and I was just walking out, going to my car, and somebody randomly the guy putting the sign, it was the owner of the company, came up to me and just said, hey, here's my business card. You want to make real money? Contact me. And I actually didn't understand what that meant at that time, because I was like, this is some guy just putting a sign on the ground. Like, really? You don't make any money, is what I thought. And then I got in my car, and then something happened at the corporate America office. I decided to quit. Called them on my birthday that year, and all of a sudden I was in real estate. So it was definitely a culture shock. And like Jane said, like, year 1 to year 3 is different than year 3 to year 6, and then year 6 to year 7 was the breakout year. So if I can give advice, it's don't look at the path, just accept the journey that you go through, because everything's allowing you to get to that next stage. And having, you can be year 1 and do $20 million, absolutely. But the number one thing is those veterans is where you're gonna start building on your platform and your building blocks.
No, that's great. And I always say, with success comes a lot of failure, right? I've never met anyone who's tremendously successful who hasn't failed a lot. So my question to you is, in your real estate career, what's been some of your biggest successes, and what has been some of your biggest struggles?
I fail every day. Not gonna sit here and lie. That's probably what makes me more successful at the end of the day. Is like this morning, I got here at 8 o'clock. I was prospecting, calling a bunch of people. I think 7 people picked up, and 6 out of the 7 cursed me off this morning. So I look at that as a failure every single day, because I wasn't able to get myself over that hump. But outside of that, is your failure is what creates the building blocks for you to get better, because then you're going to start learning what not to say, what to say, and be a little bit more patient. So I'm accepting my failures. I embrace them. I love them, and that's what I look at every single day to get myself to a better me the next day. As far as my successes, I just know what I'm physically good at. So I embrace what I'm good at. That's being punctual. That's staying on schedule, and that's me basically doing your job every single day. Because discipline. So it's a lot of people try to forget is, it's great that you're getting a list appointment today, but we're just doing our job, so we shouldn't be as happy. Like, it's great that we're in the moment, but we have to realize at the end of the day, we're doing our job. If we do our job and put our head down, you're gonna be fine.
That's great. Jane, what about you? We'll start with, what has been one of your biggest successes in real estate?
I think my biggest success is I never thought I would be who I am today. I really thank Carl for that. I never, truly from my heart, I never thought I would have everything I ever wanted. I have a beautiful daughter, every mother would want to have. I have a wonderful husband. I'm sure a lot of ladies would want. And my mom said if one day we go divorce, my husband will ask the morning divorce. Why? Because afternoon we next wedding. So that's what mom said. So he's a keeper. So truly, I feel at this stage of my life, I'm so grateful. I'm emotionally, physically, is very happy. That's really, I think success in everybody is different. Different life stage have a different success. Say when I was, at rich stage, I probably just want a career. I just, that's just me. I have to say my name. I have to say my name. I have to say my name. That's really, I mean, that's in a way when you're young, that's. I'm not saying that's okay, but for me, that was all I wanted, to be a achiever, and never be good enough. Once I reach some goals, 5 minutes later, I said, what's next? What's next? I never really stopped and enjoy, smell the roses to enjoy, that's really not the life. I mean, now obviously I'm double my age compared when I was young, but truly now I can just enjoy my life. That's really the success. Success is not only how much money you make and how healthy you do. I mean, it's a whole package. It's complete the whole package. It's you emotionally as well as physically. So that's, because here I had that support from everyone, from the team, from the boss, from all the colleagues, so I can reach that point. That's the biggest success I can see until today.
So you balance?
Very, very balanced, beyond balance. Balance is like, you try to, balance it. I'm not balancing, I'm really living in my dream. That's
Right.
what it is. Yeah.
What would you say were some of your greatest struggles, man?
I think my struggle is really, I admire Rich. I said that from day one I met him. I'm not a disciplined person. If I say I do something, you gotta wait. Maybe 5 years, maybe even 4 years. You gotta wait, right?
That's our conversation every day.
that's
Every day,
really-
7:45.
Yeah,
It's the same conversation.
I saw him, I said, man, I wish I could be like him. He just like say to go and go for it. I just, at the end, I couldn't do the business wise match him because he's nice. I'm really happy he's next door because put me on the path is like, hey, I couldn't match him business wise, so I decided to do the weight wise. So I think at least I feel some discipline in my life, so I can show. I said, yeah, I'm disciplined. Look, I didn't eat a carbs. So truly, no, thank you, no, thank you. So that's why I feel it's really. I wish I can be that disciplined, but it just for me, that's something I have to work on that. Yeah.
And Jane, let me ask you, why are you willing to sit here and talk to everybody like this? A lot of times people get, especially in an office, that they don't want to share, they're worried about that. Why are you willing to sit here and share?
I think in 10 years ago, I would wish to have a platform like this. At that time, like Richard said, I did the same thing. I have my goal. I have a few agent in my mind. I was really trying to beat, right? So that's what I try. I try to study them in distance. I try to learn, but I would love to have this platform. So everybody sharing. A lot of people, they misunderstood. They thought there's only one pie, there's only one donut. If I tell you where it is, you're gonna get it, I'm gonna be left out. That's not true. That's completely not true, And when you're sharing, get more cooperation, you learn from each other. I've been in business 10 years, I still learn new things every single day. And secondly, if we work together, bring the whole standard up for the industry, and this industry got the perspective. Otherwise, everybody is going to, go online and do themselves, and the for sale by owner will go lose jobs. I really don't think. I think by sharing, everybody gets something out of it. Another thing is called when you can be up here to share the experience. The expectation given to me is really unbelievable. I would never thought 10 years ago I would sit here, be a panel. Right. I was just happy to sit there to listen, to learn something. That's really when you do something bigger than yourself, the pleasure you get is just unbelievably satisfying.
That's awesome. What about you, Rich? Why are you willing to sit here and dish out some of your secrets?
I feel that with all the information that I know, it's pretty much all the information you guys already know. It's just that it's nicer to hear it from a different perspective, maybe, or it's nicer to hear with somebody within the office. And there's no secrets out there, right? So if you want to know what I do, how to make money in terms of getting clients, or how to get a buyer, or how to get a seller, just knock on my door and ask. Like, there's no secrets, because we all work in different markets, number one, right? Like, I don't work in James Market because I'm smart enough not to. And she doesn't come over Old Bridge because she doesn't like driving over the bridge because she's scared.
There's a bridge actually? I didn't know. That's too far for me.
That's funny.
So, but at the end of the day, there's so much real estate out there, whether it's within the town or whether you're going to other towns. So you just have to understand what's going to work for you, because what works for me might not work for you, and what works for Jane might not work for me. So why not share what I do, and then maybe you might take 1 or 2 or 3 points. You should only take 1 or 2 points, because if there's 10 points, you're never going to do all 10. So focus on the 1 or 2 that you can implement into your business to maybe get you that extra 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 extra deals. So you can go online and you can read as much as you want to read, and you can go to all these panels out there, but one day, like for me, I went to a seminar, I heard somebody speak, and I was like, that's what I want to do. So I decided this is the path I'm going to choose, and I chose prospecting, where it came, like she said, every morning, I'm just disciplined, I'm here, and I'm ready to go. So at 8 o'clock, I'm calling. So if you want to learn how to prospect, ask me, right? If you want to learn how to set up mailers and set up campaigns, or go stand outside a ShopRite and basically hand out flyers every single day, is what she did.
Yeah.
It's what works for you. So I'm not ashamed to say it. You ask me, I'll tell you exactly how it is. I'll give you the blueprint, but you're just going to execute is the question.
Well, no, it's really good. And banking off of that, let's talk a little bit more meat and bones. Let's talk a little bit about lead generation. What are your top 2 or 3 lead generation tools, and how does your database rank into your 2 or 3 lead generation tools, and how much weight do you put on that? I feel like a lot of times I always tell people, like, hey, listen, your database, as there's more discount brokers coming in, there's more of this. To be top of mind, you can always be top of mind in your database if you work it right. So talk to me about the 2 or 3 lead generation tactics you do, and how much value you put on it. You can start, Rich.
All right, so you should always at least have, in my opinion, minimum 5 type of lead generations, right? My personal opinion is I go after the 4-7 owners and I go after the expired. That's my number one, my bread and my butter. That's how I pretty much get all my listings, right? So outside of that, that's pretty much 4-7 owner expired is my one channel. We'll put that as number 1. My number 2 is my database. So my database is very high up there. So when I look at my business, it's 1/3 database, 1/3 expired and 4-7 owners, and then I have 1/3 basically my sphere of influences. Basically, anybody that knows me through social media, whether that be family, friends, things of that nature. I have it kind of broken out pretty much in that 3, and I stay a little bit very consistent through that 3. But if you were to ask me 2 years ago where my business came from, it was a totally different answer than where I would be at today, because it would have been 50% buyers, so Zillow, TrueLeadRealtor.com, so paying for the leads, and then I probably couldn't even tell you where the other 50% came from, but that was me getting lucky, I guess, if you will, which was probably another 1/3 of database. But I have 4-7 owners, I got expireds, I got my database, I got my sphere of influences, and those are pretty much what makes my business. I do have here and there that come through Zillow, so if you're taking a buyer or anything like that, so I have my Zillow. And I just started doing just listed and just sold mailers, because I know I need to start adding more, because expires are starting to dry up because the market's starting to shift. So I'm trying to add a couple different pillars. But the one thing to me, why my number 1 expired 4-7 owners, you have to go to the business, because in my personal opinion, I know she has a little different value, but you have to go find the business. The business really doesn't come find you. So you got to put yourself out there. What was the other part of the question?
Well, what made you start focusing on your database?
Just,
And how
you
much
know,
have you seen a difference in your business?
Carl said it to me 3 years ago. Anybody I would ever watch online, I mean, I have a real estate coach, so he coaches me and he always coached me into database. And it took me a long time. I would say this is my first full year, like really successfully like working on it, and I can see the numbers are there. But what made me do it is just the people around you, and that's your bread and your butter. Like if you have 300 people in your database, you should be getting 10%. Carl's number, right? You should be getting 10% of that. If you know your mechanics, your person that cuts your hair, the people that's all around you, they should know what you do, and you should be able to get referrals out of that. Oh, that's the other thing. I get other agents referrals too. So I built up a database, still considered my database, but I talked to a bunch of real estate agents, North Jersey, South Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, California, Florida, wherever it is. And if there's a referral I want to come in this area, I do get a referral because I stay in touch with those people every single, not every single day, but at least once a quarter. I try to stay in touch with them.
Good. How about you, Jane?
I mean, listen to that, I'm really embarrassed here. And,
I would never stand outside a shopper, I'm just saying.
I'm really embarrassed. I don't have a system. I'm still paying for a top producer for the last 8 years. I mean, that's a big bill to pay, but I never log in. I don't have a login.
Oh my.
And Carl had a follow-up boss, Lynn knows. And my Zillow account, they knows. If you ask me, Jane, can I have something? I said, I'm sorry, I don't know. Don't think I try lie, don't want to tell you. I truly don't know. They know that. I can call her, I don't know. So I'm really liking of that department. I'm really, the system is really, I mean, once again, I want to learn how to be disciplined. I will want to be more systematic. That's maybe my next goal. So, I mean, I truly, I'm unfortunately for me, it's like I'm just the moment. I really didn't follow up. I didn't, if you don't call me twice, I'm sorry. I forgot about you. I mean, that's like really, I mean, that's a terrible thing to do, but I just have to be more systematic. That's true.
How would they calling you though?
They just call me. So if you call me, I come, and you call me back, I will lease you home. If you don't, and
Jane, I think you're being a little modest.
because really my system is like zero. So one day, Carl sit down with me 2 years ago or something.
Yeah.
He said, let's come here, let's have a meeting. So he print out my whole year, right? Whatever I did, I said, okay, I forgot. He said, look, where'd you get this one? Where'd you get this one? But I remember everybody. That's true. I remember every deal, every client. I remember. So 90% from referral. So 90% from referral. So I said, I think my trick is instead of follow up, I just I give everybody excellent service I can. That sometimes I get frustrated. I yell, I say, why do you do this? We have to give them, we have to give them good service. I hate when the ball dropped. I mean, Finn was my client before. I mean, with in front of clients, I always make sure the experience is there. Like you go to a restaurant, right? Food is great, but the experience is too. The place have to be clean. The parking you have a way to park. You don't want to get stressed out when you park. When you go in, the hostess have to be friendly, and the place has to be clean, especially the bathroom has to be perfect. Otherwise, my husband doesn't come back. So it's a whole package. Real estate, the same thing. The whole package. If the mortgage, I mean, Joe knows, if the mortgage dropped the ball, you know what, they blame me. If anything doesn't work perfectly, I mean, late last night, and the people text me, said, oh, the lawyer sucks because they deducted $11,000 from my HUD. I said, yeah, because your lawyer holding $11,000 in escrow. oh, my lawyer hold it? I said, didn't you read all the letters? You want your lawyer hold the money, that's why. If the buyer lawyer hold money, we won't have a discussion. So, a lot of time it's like really, you have to give them good service. We do all the fire inspection, which is how many houses you sell, how many we do, water reading. We do everything for people. People tell me to let dog out, I will go. That's the thing. We give them really good service. After that, they remember, they come back. So they refer their friends and families. That's my number one thing was a referral. Just a referral.
You follow up with them?
No.
Like after you close, like
No.
you never call them?
No.
But
6 months later, a year later.
Jane, I gotta give you credit though, because you're gonna give you credit for this. And also, by the way, if anybody ever wants to sit down, and I've done it with so many agents, but if anyone ever wants to sit down and do that same exercise I did with Jane about breaking down your business and your percentages and how to improve on it, I'd be more than happy to do it. I love doing that. But Jane, to give yourself, you don't give yourself enough credit, is Jane is very deeply rooted in the township. Everywhere you go, you see Jane, face, name. If I meet people and I say, oh, I work at Remax in East Brunswick, they say, oh, you work for Jane Mueller? I'm like, I do, right? You know, there's Remax East Brunswick Day. You go there and she's the first booth giving out things, and everybody in town knows Jane, but that didn't come overnight. You know, it's something you built over years. And one of the things we did too was Jane was trying so many different things. She didn't know what was working or not. And I always suggest, if you're spending money on different advertising, put in tracking phone numbers, so you know what's generating you leads and what's not generating you leads. So you could put in specific phone numbers, so she would know, hey, this isn't working. I got 0 leads in this in a year. I'm going to cut this lead source off. But if you're not setting up tracking phone numbers, you have no way. You can't improve what you're not measuring.
True.
Right? So there's services like Better Voice, Call Rail, Call Fire, where for minimal investment, you can put, instead of your cell phone number, you put a tracking phone number. So when that number rings, you know what leads are creating you what, right? And I've worked with Rich on that. I've worked with a ton of agents. I've said it in almost every single one of my trainings. I talk about it. You know, we've done it with both of them, and they've been able to see, I say it helps you trim the fat. So if you're spending money on something and you don't really know whether or not you're getting a return on it, it's because you're not tracking. Because it's very hard to say every time someone calls with a lead, like, hey, where'd you get my number? And I remember I had this conversation with Jane when she first joined. I know everybody, I asked her where they get my number. I heard her 2 minutes later on a phone call, she didn't ask. So I said, let's put some tracking phone, and it makes a really big difference on being able to track your lead generation sources. Going off of that, Jane, you consider yourself more of a listing agent or buyer's agent, and why?
I think now I'm more listing agent. The reason is I'm a controlling person. So I feel as a listing agent, I can, I have my way to promoting to how the transaction going. I have a more sort of like, in control position. Like I always say, the listing agent is the driver's seat, and the buyer agent is passenger seat. When you're a buyer agent, your goal is to, in a way, to make the listing agent go your way, but not overpowering. Turn left, turn right, and say, wow, who's driving? You just have to, that's why. But truly, I enjoy listing better, because most of my listing in East Brunswick, I truly believe from my heart, I can give a client more coverage of advertising, more coverage of everything. So I feel the seller will get more out of my service by listing. If buyer is hard, because I have so much time dedicated to the listing, and if they want to say house, I'm not always available. And that's true. I'm not always available. As much as I want to go out with you to show the houses, because I really like to see every house on the market, but I just don't have enough time.
How many years do you think into your business you make that switch from a buyer's agent to because you started off as a buyer? Because a lot of newer agents, I'm going to go after listings. It's like,
oh no.
How long were you a buyer's agent before you transitioned?
I think I made a mistake in my career back. First year, obviously, you just go whenever people ask you. You have a lead. I had all these rental lead nobody wanted, so you just run with them anywhere you go. So that's a very good training ground, because if you can do rental, you can do anything. And second year, because as I said, it was upspring, it's a struggle. So a lot of agents give you a hard time, a lot of time, it just like ego came better off me in a way. I just want to show you, okay? No, I'm not lying. There was an agent in Co-op Banker, and everybody probably know the name, and I just wasn't happy how I was treated by the owner, by everybody. So I figured the best way to get little revenge is not yell at you, fight with you, is to take your crown off your head. That's my way. I live better, So the third year, I decided focusing on listing. Just get that was a big mistake. That was a big mistake. If I stay a core, just like Richard said, don't look at what everybody else do. Just do what you do. I will be more successful, more faster. But because the third year I tried to fighting for the #1 listing agent in the office, co-op banker, which I did. I was #1 listing agent, I was #1 buyer agent. The third year I'm balanced, my focus balanced. But what cost me? More stress. And it was definitely when you try to beat somebody, when you try to fight, and it's like Richard said, take you further away from your goal. What's stupid? But you know what, you're gonna beat her one day anyway, so why have to be yesterday or the day before? You look at the long run. So that's what the third year, I tried to beat it. I tried to be #1 listing agent, and I was. What's that give me? A silver. 10 million, 2 million from the gold, that would have given me. If I truly know what I know, like Richard said, don't compare, don't look, just do what you do, I'll be gold that year. I mean, once you gold, think about it, once you gold, when you go out, you want to be a listing, if you still want to be the listing agent, right? You gold, you hold more weight in the seller's mind. That's gonna come, Secondly, listing agent may not make money. Seriously, I mean, 1 year I came here, the first year, right? I was really go wild. I mean, Carl's pretty good. I mean, he's like, he let me to go my wild thing, do whatever I want to do and try different things. And I did. When I did that, my number dropped down, was like September.
Right.
I had a 12 million. The previous I did 21. So I said, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I like from the 21 dropped to 12, that was September. September is too late. So I was in my house, right? All the team were there, and I realized, what did I do next? I didn't try that open house, no. Pick up the phone and say, hey, you said you want to buy a house 3 months ago. I mean, now is a good time. Now is the school start and my price may be better for you. Let's go and see a house. At the end of the day, I sold another 8 million.
The end of the year, 19 million, 800,000.
Yeah, just because 2 agents couldn't close in December, and then we closed in January, so I didn't meet 20 million. But you know what? That was the best thing happened to me. That was the best thing happened to me. Because once you lose the planting, you will never have attitude, I got it. That was the best thing happened to me. If I did, I would still go wild and don't listen to anybody, do what I want to do, because that time I realized the system works. You have to stay in core, okay? You can't go too far. So after that year, I lost the planting, I learned. So I make sure by June, I pretty much have whatever close plus whatever under contract without 20 million. Since that, I always make sure, so I don't sweat last minute. So that's always the case. But truly, you have to ask yourself, you want to be listing agent or buyer agent. A lot of people think listing agent is more glamorous. That's not true. That's not true. Because when you have a listing, right, it doesn't sell. You have to go there, listen to the sell. They drive you nuts. How about more advertising? How about this? How about, why didn't you, this morning, right? Why didn't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't that? You have to have a thick skin. Sometimes if you go to meet them, your stomach start to turn. You really stomach to turn. What am I gonna say? That's the thing. It's not everybody's,
No, that's a great point. Not to cut you off. I always talk about not everybody's wired to be a big listing agent, and that's okay. Don't get too wrapped up in the Facebook groups and all the other nonsense about I got to be a big listing agent. Handling a large listing inventory comes with challenges that people don't think that comes with.
Yeah.
Right, down to the light being left on in a half bathroom. I always remember I got reamed out for that once, and it's tough.
Oh, the lights stink.
But what about you, Rich? Do you consider yourself more of a buyer's agent, listing agent? A little bit about your journey with it.
This year, I'd say I finally successfully moved over to the listing side. I made a decision. I forgot when we made a decision, but him and I went out to lunch, and he was like, "Dude, you got to make a decision." And he was like, "Either do this or do that, because you really can't do both." So I decided I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do this. And I kind of stayed in that path. I might not hit all the goals that I set forth because of that, but I know for sure that I did make that big bounce, pendulum switch, which I know the long run is gonna be a lot better. But my journey was, when I first came into real estate, I was a renter's agent. Like, I wasn't even a buyer's agent. I wasn't even allowed to be a buyer's agent, actually. And they just gave me all the renters.
Oh,
For that.
Me too.
So like for like 6 months, 8 months, something like that, maybe almost a full year, I just had all these buyers. I mean, these renters I was taking out. And then finally the guy gave me, he's like, hey, here's your first buyer lead. And then I became a buyer's agent. So between about 2 years to about 4 years, I was strictly buyer's agent, just doing buyer deals all day long. And then about year 5 is when I kind of switched it up a little bit, where I was like, all right, that's when I came into Remax and I started working with Carl. And he was like, I'm gonna get you there quicker. Yeah, believe it or not, I had no idea at the end of the day, but I trusted it. So that year, I started working on expires, I started working on everything else, and I started seeing it kind of get into a happy medium where I was almost 50-50. And I was 50-50 for 2 years, and then that's when Carl came up to me again and said, listen, you need to flip it. But he's right, it comes with a lot of struggle, because they call you at 9 o'clock at night, they call you 10 o'clock at night, they call you at 7 o'clock in the morning, and there's crazy questions that sometimes you can't even answer because you don't even know the answer to it. Like you said, the back door was wide open left. I personally don't believe a real estate agent anywhere will leave a door wide open, but hey, listen, you never know, right?
It's your fault.
But it's my fault. Like you said, a bedroom. This was last week. A bedroom light was left on by mistake, and it's a vacant property. And the seller goes there every certain couple of days, and she said that I ran up her bill $250. Like, how did I do that? And they were like, well, because you left the light on. I was like, I did not leave the light on. I was like, I don't know who did, but you know. And then they were aggravated that they had a $250 bill. So long story.
Yeah.
Anything, right? So long story short is I made the decision, and making that decision, I kind of thought about it this way. Did I want to be an employer? Did I want to be employee? Because that's the way I was able to resonate in my head. But like Carl says, so much goes on the back end. Like Jane said, you're not doing enough marketing, you're not doing enough open houses, you're not doing enough this, you're not doing enough that. And that might have been actually one of the hardest deals you actually work on, but they don't see it because they rejected the 6 offers you put in front of them, right? And then you can't convince them to take the offer, so they want the full asking price or whatever, close to it. And yes, I consider myself a listing agent.
No, you guys, no, because you know what, I know you two, and with all your listing experience, you've gone forever with stories about things you had to deal with being the listing agent. But that's why I always say, you know, kind of pick it's okay. If you don't like listings, it's okay. Figure out systems how to do with more buyers. You know, you don't always have to be that big listing agent because people think it's cooler.
You have to pick which works for you.
Yeah.
I know people that just strictly work on rentals,
Right.
and they like them because they can take 2 or 3 out a week, and you get, you know, a $500 paycheck here, and you're like, well, it's better for me if I can do this because it's so much quicker and easier, and they make a great living doing it. I know people who are strictly great buyer agents. Like right now, when I take buyers out, I know I'm terrible. Right? I don't like listening to them anymore. I don't like it's my way or no way is how I see it. And like, you know, you're telling me you want 3 bedrooms, you want 2.5 bathrooms, but you're showing me 3 bedroom, 1 bathrooms, right? And I'm like, well, you said
Why
you
we
want
wanna see this.
Exactly, why you see it? I'm taking this one
Right.
off the list. Well, if you don't show it to me, I'm gonna go find somebody else who wants to. Okay, then you gotta go find somebody because you said you wanted this, and this is what I want. And then what do? They go buy a house that's 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, $100,000 more because they told me the budget was $400. It's just learning that balance between how to speak to people, how to talk to people, and everybody's great, you know. Everybody's great at whatever they do. Great listing agents, great buyers agents, great renter agents. That's what makes the business go around.
No, and changing gears a little bit, the next question is kind of like a question I'm kind of passionate about. I'm always looking to get more education. I'm always trying to get better. You know, I fly around to masterminds where, hey, I'll go to a mastermind in Chicago, fly back, wait a day, hop on a plane to go somewhere else. But because I'm really passionate about learning, growing, education, and a lot of it that I could pass back to the agents. Really, how important is education and training to your success? Like, what educational opportunities have you found? Just how's that played a role as your career has progressed?
Go ahead, Jamie.
I think that's vital. That's truly vital. When I was, before I work here, I worked at other two companies. And the both company are great people too, they're great company to work for. However, one thing I feel really, really liking, one is the support from the owner, really had best interest in the agents, our interest, that's one. Secondly is the education. They just, you just go to work and that's it. But here, I have to say, before I joined here, I always have to find my own, even doesn't matter how busy I am, that's why I speak 3 o'clock in the morning, I have a hunger for, new skills, for new information. So I have to search myself. Now it's so easy. Carl, what did you learn from Chicago trip? Take me 5 minutes to learn. So that was really great. I think that's, we do so many training every month. And that's really wonderful. That's very useful. Maybe sometimes you think you didn't learn anything, but you only pick up one thing, maybe just what you need. That's just that's very, very important to me. And back a few years ago, everybody, I don't know how much you guys know me. I started as a rental agent, and I had a nickname that time was Queen of the Lake Avenue. Okay, and the Queen of the Lake, and that time is like when I joined Davis Realtor that day. I still remember so clearly. That day they had a meeting and they welcomed me, say, "Oh, Jay Mueller, join us." Some agent yell out. Not disrespectful. They truly love you. It's not that they say anything bad about me. No. They were happy. They said, "Oh, I'm so glad to have Jay Mueller join us. We could have some low-end agent." That was, but they didn't mean bad. They said we are high end, we are customer homes, we are luxury homes agency. Now I'm glad to have some low end one join us. So we capture the market. I will sit there, I was done. Oh, she does rental, she does Lake Avenue. Great, we had a whole package now. That was the, a lot of time, that's what they put in my head. Until today, I thank Kathy Gabino. When I was there, Kathy have a 500,000 listing. At that time, 500,000 for me, that's my God, 500. I do 100. I do condo. Condo queens. That's what I do. Kathy, every time see me, say, Jane, I'm sure you have a buyer. You have a Chinese market. You have a buyer. I said, no, I don't have Chinese market. I don't have a buyer. So every time she's asked me, I saw her in the corridor. If I could go the other way, I would go the other way. She always find me. She said, hey, what happened? Did you call your client? Did you call? Finally, I found somebody at my guts out. So I showed the house. They showed interest. I couldn't believe it. They want to buy the house. And the home inspector had so much issue. I was stunned. I didn't know what to do. Kathy, as a listing agent, like you're a new dancer, you know how to dance. She would hold you and lead a beautiful dance on the floor. Nobody even knows I made a mistake. Just all the way through. That was the first class I have. I owe my thank you to her. That was the first time I learned how to do luxury home. And first time I sold over 500,000 house. I was so happy. I sold one before that my girlfriend doesn't count. She just won the house, she signed it. So that's not my job, it's just lucky. But she's taught me. After that, I joined here. I still thinking I'm pretty much, and by then I'm already planting agent already. So you already had that in your head, you're pretty good. You're middle range, 500, 600, no worries. One night, it was like 11 o'clock, Carl texts me, say, are you still awake? I said, yeah, I'm in my pajamas, but I'm awake. And then he said, you better check this out, the luxury. You can qualify this. I said, you kidding me? Me luxury? I'm Lake Queen, what's going on? But that night when he texted me, so I said, you know what? Late at night, I couldn't sleep, so I just searched. And I read it, I thought, you know what? I may be qualified.
To embellish on that, there's a designation for certified luxury agent. I forget exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But you have to have the qualifications, and I don't remember. I was like, you qualify for this.
Yeah, he was at somewhere seminar in Las Vegas.
I don't think it was
that's
11
why-
o'clock at night.
No, your one was earlier. My one was 11.
Yeah.
You were
I'd
3
be
hours.
sleeping.
Yeah, no, you were 3 hours before. So anyway, he was in Las Vegas. He texted me. But it's not the certification made a difference. It's the confidence. Because that time I was thinking, I'm just low end market. By having that validated, I realized actually I am. You know, after I apply that, I went through the journey, I understand. So now I go to $1 million house listing, I mean, no different to go to 100,000 condo. For me, that's just the confidence. That what he told me when I went through that program, it's not only what I learned. I may only learn a few things, it's not really changed my life, after I get that, I'm so good, no. It's just my confidence level went up. That's really the education. Sometimes you learn the knowledge, sometimes it's just validation from what you know, to confirm you're good enough. So that's really very, very valuable.
I think that just shows no matter what level you're at, you already at that platinum level,
Yeah.
that you can still push yourself to grow.
Yes.
Rich, how about you? Education.
So, like I said, was it back 5 years ago, 6 years ago? I decided to hire a real estate coach. I had a real estate coach ever since then, Carl. You know, great. Another real estate coach, so you always have like two different perspectives. But I do have a real estate coach that trains and helps me grow every single day. So some of the different things is going to different seminars, like Carl says. I go to Vegas seminars, I fly down to Florida, I go to local ones. So I definitely go to a lot of seminars to hear panels. I hear a lot of panels talk what makes them successful, how they sell 150, 200 houses plus a year, how are they doing, you know, $1 million plus properties a year, and how do they stay in this market. So I definitely do education. It's definitely really big because the industry is changing every day, and you have to kind of hear what's going on. But you always have to go back to basics at the end of the day. That's what's going to make your business thrive, in my opinion. As far as everything else goes, I do follow scripts. I do read scripts every single day. I role play every single day. So like pretty much I wake up in the morning pretty much every single time around 5 o'clock. I'm in the office by 7 o'clock. And by 7 o'clock, I'm either role playing, I'm script practicing, writing down what's going on, I'm going over my presentation, going on what's going on throughout my day. I understand, I know that 8 o'clock, I'm gonna start making my phone calls, so I start reading those scripts. I know these scripts in and out. I could recite them right now if I really felt like them, but for some reason I have to have them right there, and as I'm talking, I literally have to read them every single day. And to me, that's what gives me the confidence, because whatever you're gonna say back to it, I pretty much know what the answer is gonna be, and it's gonna allow me to control the conversation, to know that this question I'm gonna ask, and then whatever you say, whatever the answer is, I'm gonna use a transitional word to bring it back to my next question I'm gonna have to do to get me through the line of knowing, basically qualifying this person to see if they're interested or not. So basically knowing scripts, going to seminars, and I would have never thought this in a million years 7 years ago, that this is what you have to do. And this is what I know the top producers are doing, is basically creating it, and they're not reinventing the wheel, they're just literally going to put what's in front of them. So I do all that, and then I prospect. I'm diligent on my schedule, and I'm diligent on everything, and my whole day is mapped out. So I literally know exactly what I'm gonna be doing for the whole entire day. And knowing what you're gonna be doing for the day gives you the edge to that not you're just a real estate agent, that you actually have a job and you have something to look forward to. And you're gonna cut it off when you're gonna cut it off, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. But yes, I do believe in education and scripts.
Well, I got to give Rich credit. I would go to the gym down here, and at 6 o'clock in the morning, at 7 o'clock, I drive back to my house, and it was the winter time, and the light would be on in his office at 7 o'clock in the morning, and it wasn't on at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I knew he just didn't leave it on, right? He is here every morning at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I knew he takes his schedule so serious that I asked him a month ago if he'd be willing to do this today, because I know I couldn't spring on a last minute because it would throw him all off.
It still threw me off today, but at least I knew it was happening.
You'll recover.
Maria.
Yeah, I have a question for Rich. So how, with your quotas, so you said 7 people curse you out.
It was 6,
Do
I
you,
think. I
oh,
forget.
6, 5. So you start your day, you have a lot of energy, and then you get these 6 people or 4 people to start off your day when they say mean things or they don't say things that you want them to hear, so you cannot control the situation. How do you overcome these days and keep going with the same energy you woke up in the morning? And also, do
a good question. Do I call them back? It really depends on what they say to me.
Go away.
Can you give us examples, like what cases would you?
Well, what happened this morning, it was 8 o'clock this morning, I called the guy, and I said what I said. I said, hey, I see your property came off the market. Are you looking to interview new agents? Something like that. And he said no. And then I asked, he said no, and then he cursed at me, called me an effing something, like you were all the same or something like that. I don't remember exactly what he said, but I laughed. And he didn't like the fact that I laughed at him. And he goes, see, that's what I mean by you're all the same. He goes, something along the lines like you're a low loser, that you have to go this way to go get business, something like that. I don't remember what he said. Something along those lines. And I was like, well,
So you like to meet, you're telling me.
so I just
That's what I would
kept,
say.
I was having fun with it. I was like, this
Yeah.
guy hates me. I was like, whatever. So then I said to him, I was like, well, that's the reason why I shouldn't have said this, but this is part that's the reason why your house didn't sell, because your real estate wasn't aggressive. That's what I said. I know I shouldn't have said that, but he pissed me off. But anyways, long story short is I said that back to him, and he kept telling me that this is the reason why I'll never be successful, and that I should be something with McDonald's got thrown in there. And then I would just like, I was like, well, guy, I was like, we really need to get together. I was like, because you need to hear what I have to say to get your house sold. And I said, why didn't your house sell? And then he cursed me off again. He's like, do you need more? And I said, yes, I actually do, because the guy was really going in. I had to record it.
You should have told me to bring fish fillet to the meeting.
So I just kept asking for an appointment, and the guy kept cursing me off. Literally, I'm telling him like everything you could possibly think of. And to me, it was just funny at that point in time, because I was actually still trying to get the appointment. And I wrote his name down because I am going to call him back. Because not today, not tomorrow, but you have to realize that, is this an objection or is this a condition? Right? Like, that's the thing you have to really understand. And to me, he gave me no objection. So it was a condition that he was pissed off that his house was with the same agent 2 times for 6 months out of time. I can see that. So I understand that it wasn't directed toward me. I was probably the lucky number 1 to call him. This was like 8:07 or something like that. I was either lucky number 1 or I was, because I know people are calling at 7:30 in the morning, so that's not me. But how do I overcome that is just understand that they're not directing it towards you.
Right.
And that comes with time, because there's been days where somebody would do that to me and I'll be thrown off a whole entire day. And then once I realized that it's not about you and it's not about what the situation is, just put a smile back in your face and keep calling, or stop, take a 10-minute break, take a 15-minute break, go listen to something funny, go watch something funny, go do something to throw your mind off of it real quick, and then get back to it. Because at the end of the day, never let that, whoever it is, whether it's your prospecting, whether it's a buyer who calls in, whether it's a seller who calls in, never let that person ruin your day, because now they're affecting your money. Because if you don't go out there and work, you're not gonna go make money. And ever since I kind of switched that on my head, I always every day I go to work, I'm like, I'm broke. I got no sales. I got no this. I got no that. Like, that's what I think about. But it creates a little fire underneath me to know that I got to keep doing what I got to do. Because if you do it every single day, you might not get the results Monday. You might not get the results Tuesday. But eventually, Wednesday comes, and then you get like 3 or 4. And you're like, wow, like this is great. And then you don't take that as your high, because for every high there's always a low. Just take it, I did my job, and I moved on. So it's just little things, little different things, that little techniques that you have to, at least I taught myself how to do to overcome that.
And to expand on that, because by nature was a cold caller, how I built my businesses and stuff, was it comes down to your laser focus, right? If you're focused on what your goal is, that one phone call where someone's being a jerk is one phone call closer to getting to your goal, right? Because I used to just cold call. I mean, I built my business on 8 months of cold calling, of the same thing Rich went through. And all I kept saying is, this is one step closer to my goal. It was and I said, it's a mentally tough thing to being expired, to be a cold caller. But to me, for real estate, it was easy, because before that, I used to cold call for T-Mobile selling business cell phones. You want to talk about getting cursed at? I was like, real estate's easy. I was like, they want to sell. I'm calling businesses, I don't even know if they have cell phones, and I'm trying to sell them cell phones. That didn't work when I got there. So for me, like, real estate was a very easy transition, but it was like, hey, my goal is I need to create this many listings per month. And then what happens is when you do this over a long period of time, you know how many dials it's going to take, how many conversations it's going to take, and then that's when it starts getting fun because it's like, oh, all right, well, I got 6 more calls to go until I'm going to get that.
So that's tracking your numbers, which I do.
Right.
So I know my numbers, what I gotta get to.
Rich knows how many conversations, how many things he needs to get an appointment and all that. But
Yeah, I need 41 conversations, 27, take a listen.
but that didn't happen overnight,
Nah, that didn't.
right?
Tracking took me a really long time to understand.
Right.
But, hold on, she asked, what was the first part of the question? I forgot.
Oh, scripts, right? She went a little bit, and scripts are not like a holy grail to find. If you Google Tom Ferry scripts, you'll get a lot of scripts that you can use.
Tom Ferry, Mike Ferry, there's so
No,
many,
no,
there's so many,
YouTube.
it doesn't matter what script you use, man, just use a script. But, dude, I think you asked a different question in the beginning.
Like, how do you handle the rejection like that if you
I think that's it.
Oh, okay.
No,
Okay. Yeah,
it's-
no,
If you get like one rejection, not the rejection, like, you know, just the stupid answer that kind of like,
Throws you off.
yeah, like, you know, and then you get second one, third one. I know over the time, you kind of put that block, so you don't, you know, you are not too sensitive to rejection. But, I mean, as every real estate agent, I feel like every one of us get that rejection. Whether from buyers saying, oh, I'm working with somebody and somebody does this, that, or this, you know, like, the sensitivity part, because we all sensitive to some point, you know? Someday we are more sensitive, someday we are not sensitive. But
Gotcha.
like, if you get like 5, 6, 7 rejections from the very morning, how do you keep going? Because this is, I think it's very important, you know, because
Yeah.
in the morning, it's tough when you get these cursing.
So you said you go back to these people, like now this guy gives condition. Now when you go back and when you call him the second time, what would you say? He's already cursed you, right? And then would you
I'm gonna
even
forget about
Might
that.
not call that guy.
Would he even remember?
I am actually, I'm curious.
But would he even remember that you're the same
Oh,
person typically?
If I called them 6 hours later, he wouldn't even remember me. When you're making those calls and somebody has their mindset that they're ready to curse you off, they're not gonna remember. They're not gonna remember your voice, cause there's been times I've heard it and I was like, all right, you know what, I'm gonna call him back tonight. But normally now I don't do that. I'll probably wait a week or 2 weeks and then I'll call them up. But yes, there's always in the back of my mind, like, this was the guy that really went off on me.
But what's your follow-up typically like? What would you like?
Like, for that particular,
No, generally, I mean, what would you be a second round when you call these people up the second time? Now they already said that they don't want to list with you or
it's whatever, so if they just said they don't wanna list with me, and then I sell on their house, and they didn't give me, I mean, I pretty much know why, but if I couldn't get through my script, then I will put on a follow-up, because that's where, at the end of the day, that's where all the money is in follow-up. So that's where I excel, like, I literally rather you see my missed call 7 times in a day than me never call once. So that's where we're definitely different, because, you know, if you gave me your name and your number, or I called you and you gave me your name and your number and said you want to sell, and you want to sell within a month, like, I'm gonna keep calling you until I can get onto that appointment, you know, or you're gonna, until you list with somebody else. So if they say call back in a month, cut it in half, 2 weeks. And then 9 out of 10 times when you call them and you say that, and you say, hey, listen, I'm so-and-so, I'm calling Remax, I'm just following up from our last conversation, their response is gonna be like, oh, I don't remember that, so many people calling me. Oh, well, you told me, and then I'm just gonna flip it, you told me to call you back in 2 weeks, so I'm calling you back in 2 weeks. Like, oh, you know what, call me back in another 2 weeks, if we're starting making a decision. Okay, I call him back in 1 week. Okay, and then, hey, listen, so-and-so, you know, I don't remember talking to you, I talked to you 3 weeks ago, and you told me to call you back in 3 weeks. You're like, oh, so I'm sorry, like, it's literally the same thing, like, no matter who I call, nobody ever remembers me, ever.
But you know what's great too, I mean, not to go off, is if you have something in your conversation that you can relate back to when you're calling, like, hey, you said in 2 weeks to give you a call back because in 45 days you're moving to this neighborhood in this town, then they're like, oh,
Well, that's how
I
they
guess
know
I
they
really
talked
did talk to you. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's where it really drops the barriers, because they can talk to so many people. But if you could just throw that little nugget, that little rapport in there, and take it off, and I mean, that to me was the crushed my follow up. But did I remember? Actually, sometimes I would remember because I have this really weird memory. But most of the times, I would make a quick note on my CRM, my Excel spreadsheet, like said they're moving the 45 days to here, and I'd lead with that
Yeah.
to take down the defense.
Yeah, because when I do say, you told me to follow up, they say don't remember, I always say, well, you told me that you're doing this, and you told me this happened, and you're doing this renovation, you're doing that, and they always say like, oh wow, I really did talk to this person.
Guys, I have more questions, but you guys dropped a lot of great nuggets and stuff, some actionable items. What advice, we'll start with you, Jane, would you give to everybody today listening? What advice do you offer?
I think the thing like Richard said before, don't compare yourself with others. Do not. Because always people better than you, always people worse than you. And the people better than you, they may have their own problem you don't want to have. It's the whole package. You can't have one without the other. And do not compare. Just do your thing. And second advice, which is bonus point.
Bonus.
You ask one. Second one is be nice. You know, I had a deal with I mean, seriously, be nice. Why?
Sure.
The reason is sometimes you want to curse them, but be nice, because once I had a deal and I represent a buyer. Normally I don't, but I represent a buyer. We're in attorney review. We almost finished attorney review. The listing agent called me up, said, Jane. When I saw his number, he said, Jane. I just knew it. Jane. I said, what's up, buddy? He said, Jane, I hope that's gonna affect our professional relationship here. I truly don't want to be in your bad book. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying. I mean, don't think, you know. I said, what's up? So I said, okay, you know. He said that another agent came in with much more. I mean, we're already over asking that point, so there's nothing to talk. We already went through find one of the best. We were find one of the best in the attorney review. And the co-op said, you know what? I'm so sorry. Someone else came in and was a new one, whatever. I told the seller don't take them, but they wouldn't listen. But they much more better, more down payment and same amount, but they waived the appraisal. So at that point, I said to him, I said, you know, thank you for letting me know. So better than I found out from the lawyer, but really appreciate it so I can let my buyer know. But you work for the seller. You did a great thing for them. You know, good luck. If it doesn't work out, we'll do another deal. Those guys selling on the other side. They thought I'm gonna curse them. What do you think you're doing? No, I just said, you know what? You work for the seller. As much as I'm disappointed, but you did the right thing. I mean, you had a better buyer than ours. We could not waive the contingency. We cannot. Financially, we're not able to. So that was it. So you know what? In the future, when you're working with that agent, that's a good relationship. Why you want to burn? I mean, I have a people make offer on my listing, just screaming, yelling at me, and said, "Where's your seller? Why don't they accept my offer? This is the best you ever had. You know, your house on the market for so long, you never sold it. You're lucky my client want your house. Let me tell you something, Jay. My clients are going to this afternoon. Why still want me to show them more houses? You better sign it, okay?" So that was screaming, yelling, okay? And then I had another offer. So we sold that, and then call me back and screaming from Keller Williams. I don't even know who they are. But the calling again, screaming out and said, "What's your courtesy? Why don't you tell me? You think I'm calling you back, listen to more abusive?" I just said, you know, I said, well, I thought you were taking your client wife searching that home. So I told the seller. And the buyer tracked, I don't know how they tracked down number, they tracked down my client in Texas and called my client and said, "I love your home. I would do anything." And I didn't know. The seller said, oh, my agent told me, your agent, I didn't tell them the agent screamed at me, that's not professional. And he said, your agent told my agent they were taking your wife to shopping, staying at a house. He said, that's not true, my wife working Sunday. He said that's my agent tried to get better deal for us. She was working hard for us, but we would pay whatever need to be. But that point is too late. We will accept that offer. But just what I'm saying, when you go so fasty, Karen knows, right? I mean, who want to talk to the agent screaming yelling? It's very emotional. It's very emotional because some agent just want the money. Let's face
I have
it.
a special list for those people.
Yeah, but some people just truly
Definitely do.
they had a passion for their client. I mean, regardless, be nice. That's my second.
No, that's so true. There's nothing more fun too. I find I have fun when someone is really mad and hot under the collar, and I'm just like, wow, you sound like you're having a really, really rough day.
Yeah.
And it just calms them down,
Yeah.
and then it just flip. I had this the other day with the title company, a woman screaming at me, saying, Emily, I really see your point. I was like, I hope you're having a better day after this conversation. She's like, I'm so sorry. She's like, it's been one of those days. Everybody, I'm like, not a problem. You know what? I got what I wanted at the end of the day by being nice.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. How about you, Rich?
Well, she said about 1 point. I would add to
Which one was it?
which.
She had two.
Don't
well,
compare.
for-
Oh, they don't compare. You're right. Okay, that was my sorry.
well,
Bad moderator. Don't
It's
worry.
alright. I would say at the end of the day, learn how to ask better questions.
It's a good one.
Learn how to ask questions. Learn how to continue to ask questions, because the more questions you can ask a prospect, whether it's a seller, whether it's a buyer, whether it's a renter, is to get a better understanding to them. Don't say statements back to them, because that's just a dead end. It just continue to ask questions and deeper questions and deeper questions. And it could be as simple as, why? Tell me more about that. And just get them talking, because he taught me the more you keep them talking, and especially in front of a seller, and the more you're writing down, they're just gonna keep talking forever. And it's so true. I have to cut them off now. But I would say asking questions and having an understanding and pre-qualifying basically your potential prospect would be one big avenue, and get yourself on a schedule. I'm really big on schedule. And it doesn't have to be like mine. It could be waking up at 7 o'clock, maybe waking up an hour earlier than you're used to. Getting, doing whatever you have to do, but get yourself on a schedule, because you have something to look forward to at the end of the day. And it will get you yourself to put more money in your pocket at the end of the day.
That's great. Well, again, I appreciate everybody coming. Guys, I appreciate everything. It was really great.